is language, powerful language gets results, and then we're going to talk about our database, right? So I'm going to start with, this is going to be a little unconventional when I'm talking about language, but does anybody else believe that your language is important? Okay. Does anybody believe that it doesn't actually matter what you say or how you say it, and or was it always drilled into you by your parents? It doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it. Right?
That's just something that I feel based off all my emotions.
Yeah. No, thank you, Mom. You sounded exactly like my mom.
Yeah. Based off of who I am as a person.
Based on, yeah. What you say to me can get you either, right? How somebody talks to you is either going to get them, you're either going to get the nice thing that's like, oh, hi, or you're going to get the, I'm sorry, what? Right? And we're all like that. We're all like that. Okay. So we can agree that language matters. What you say matters. How you say it really matters. And did you all know that how it's received is the most important? And how it's received is actually based off of a certain personality that person carries. They have personality traits, they have life, they have lessons, they have everything that they've experienced in their entire life. And that's a filter with which your words go through first before they actually hear it. And so today I want to talk about the different personality types, because I think that your words are going to be very important in this business, but it's actually how they land. And it's who's listening that will determine the words that you're going to use. Am I right? Like, do you talk the same to everybody? No.
Not really.
Not really. Did somebody say yes?
You don't want to hear how I talk to babies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good visual though, or like get me in front of a dog and I am, yeah.
Right? And then get me at a football game talking to people about sports, and I'm like,
hit somebody. Yeah.
You know. So we talk to, and then get me in front of my friends. Get me in front of Sam. get me in front of people that I'm very close with. And it's going to be different than if I'm standing up at a presentation and we know there's a time, we know there's a place. I think we're all adults here, but I just like to kind of get a barometer check. So let's talk about personality types. There are so many personality assessments out there. There's like INTJ, the 12 different personality types. There is, there's the DISC profile, which is what we're going to talk about. You will all be taking, if you haven't already, you'll all get an assessment from Keller Williams called the Keller Personality Assessment. It's not a test, you guys. You should take it. It's a personality assessment. It gives you a little bit of insight on yourself. The DISC personality assessment is, I'm sure a lot of companies have adopted this now, but Tony Robbins is famous for the Tony Robbins DISC. And you can take this profile just by typing in Tony Robbins DISC, and then you're going to take a profile and it's going to give you this free answer. And you're going to be like, oh, the free answer sucks. It's not the one you want. You're going to have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's going to be a $24.95 fee for you to get your actual DISC profile, which is going to label you as one of 4, a D, I, or an S, and a C. And this is not meant to hinder you and label you completely. Like, you are not a diverse, beautiful child of the universe, right? It's just to give you an idea of how you operate based off of a certain set of criteria and questions. This is how you naturally operate. It also gives you your adaptive style. So it says, this is how you naturally operate, like at home with people close to you. And then this is how you operate at work. And I love it because how I operate has actually changed over the years. So the way that I operated when I was 25, not that great. The way that I operate at 36, a little bit better, not so much. A little bit better, right? So your personality changes. So you can take this a couple times. But my adaptive style is pretty well rounded. But my work style is very askew. And so I'm a different person when I'm at work and when I'm at home. You're going to experience that the deeper relationships you have with people. So you're going to meet a client and they're going to be one way with you. And then the more that you build a relationship with them, because you're an awesome, wonderful person and they get to know you, they're going to change. And you're going to see these sides of their personality that you never saw before. Now, the DISC assessment has been so widely accepted, and it's such a great tool to use that if you pay attention, you can figure out someone's DISC profile within 1 minute of talking to them, based off of certain characteristics that they display, certain language that they display. And it's amazing because if you can pinpoint how someone is within the first minute of talking with them, do you think you could connect with them better? Yeah, you could meet them where they're at, which is really what we have to do. His name's Stephen Cooley, and he is from North Carolina, and he came into our office and he taught a class, and it was one of our team meetings. So to come to the team meetings, because there's always something valuable, but he said, the biggest myth that realtors tell themselves is to be themselves. Just be you. He said, your clients, they want you to be who they want you to be. And that doesn't mean that you have to like compromise yourself, but people don't want to necessarily be treated how you want to be treated. They want to be treated how they want to be treated. Am I making sense? Like it goes beyond treat others how you want to be treated. Heck, you might not have that great of standards. It's about treating others how they want to be treated. And sometimes that's more of an intrinsic internal thing. And this is how you can tap into that internal thing and find out ahead of time, how do people want to be treated? So let's dive in, shall we? Oh, how do I present this? Oh, I got it. Oh, I figured it out. Okay. So I just talked about this. The golden rule is treat others the way that you want to be treated. But the platinum rule, above and beyond, is treat others how they want to be treated. So this circle is going to get cut into fours. So let's talk about the upper and the lower hemispheres. So outgoing people they're active, fast-paced, optimistic, energetic. They're very involved, very positive, and very, very enthusiastic. Do we know people that are very outgoing? Yeah, can you usually tell when someone's outgoing very quickly? Okay, unmute for me and let me know, how do you know that someone's outgoing within 30 seconds of meeting them?
Me personally, I think just how they come off. Like if they just start talking and stuff, you just already know they're just outgoing right away.
Yeah, they're like engaging. They're gonna just start talking to you about their life. You're like, I didn't even ask. Okay. They're trying to connect. Okay. On the lower hemisphere, we've got our passive and reserved type. So they're slower paced people. They're cautious, concerned. They're a little bit reluctant. They're a critical thinker, very detailed, very discerning. Do you guys know people like this? And how do they come off when you first meet them? What do you experience?
They're very like reserved. They might be like in a corner just observing everyone.
Yeah, they might be a wallflower.
Yeah.
They might not, be too excited. An outgoing person is like, hi, it's good to meet you. Maybe not that excited. That was a little crazy, but like, hi, it's good to see you. I'm excited to see you. A reserved person might just be like, hi. Are either of these wrong? There's no wrong way to be. It's just really nice to be able to understand those two sides. So when we're in sales, again, remember, we're treating others how they want to be treated. So when you meet someone that's super outgoing and they say, hi, how are you? What can you do to help foster that connection with that person?
Match it.
Match it. Yeah. It's called mirror and matching. So if you meet a client and they're like, hi, how you doing? It would probably be best if you didn't say, I'm good, how are you? Right? Just giving some examples. It would be best to say, hi, even if you're not an excitable person, punch it up a little. Give them a little bit of what they're giving to you. It will help foster that connection with them. People like to work with people that are like them or that display behaviors like them. So if you're the reserved person and you're like, I do not like to get excited about people, I'm like, then you just have to tap into, this is a customer service job just as much as it's a sales job, right? And the customer is number one. That's what we always think. Customer is number one. And so you might have to come out of yourself a little bit. On the flip side, when I meet, so it's pretty obvious that I'm an outgoing person and I'm active. Sometimes it's too obvious. But when I meet someone that's reserved, so I have adapted. It used to always be, oh my gosh, hi, how are you? Let me give you a big old hug, like a crazy person. We're best friends and I just met you. That's the energy that I'm always giving off. And I have had to learn to quell that energy. I can't give that off to everybody. I got to test the audience first. So I like to test the audience first. So I just kind of walk up and I wait for them. I kind of wait. If they don't actively hi, how you doing? I know they're not. If they wait for me just as much as I wait for them, they're reserved. And I know that I might need to extend my hand and say, hi, it's nice to meet you. But I definitely tone it down. If they get out of the car and they're like, oh my God, look at this, then I know that I can just act natural and do my thing. So just test the room a little bit. So we flipped it from hemisphere to hemisphere, and now we're going to side, and it'll all come together in a moment. So on one side, we've got task-oriented people. They like form, they like function, they make plans, they have projects, they have a process for everything, and they've got a bottom line. Do you know people like this? When they go on vacation, they have an itinerary?
Yep.
Is that you, Jenny?
Yes.
I love it. I love this because I'm not always as planned as I need to be. And I love people that plan because I'm like, let me be your friend and let's go on vacation together because you'll do the planning and then I can come along.
Enjoy.
And enjoy.
I feel like you get things done more when you plan ahead.
100%. 100%. I have had to adjust my entire life in order to be successful in business because I am not a planner and it gets me in trouble. So, I love when people are natural planners. I'm envious of you. Does anybody else know a planner? Doesn't even have to be you. Do you know a planner?
I think people that are like managers or like higher positions, they have to, even if that's not their personality, because otherwise, how can you run a team?
Yes, absolutely. You have to adapt and overcome if you want to do anything outside of your natural inclination, right? Okay, so on the other side is people oriented. So these are relationships, caring, sharing. They have emotions. They're emotional people. They share their feelings. They have lots of friendships. Lots of friendships. What's interesting too is that are people always just one or the other? Not necessarily, but we lean on one side or the other, right? So I don't ever like to just pigeonhole people, but people lean to one side or the other. If you are a task-oriented person, building relationships with people might not necessarily be your favorite thing to do, and you just entered yourself into a relationship build kind of thing. But that's why the system like Command is so fantastic for you, because if you just follow the plan, which is call this person, text this person, email this person, then you'll succeed because you'll be like, oh, I got a task, and you'll finish that task. But if it's just open and you're like, just build relationships with people, you're like, ah. So there's processes in place to help you continue to be successful, even if you lean one way or the other. Okay, so when we put it all together into one circle, you can see that at the very top, these are the outgoing people. And at the bottom, these are the reserved people. D's and I's are outgoing. They're going to put themselves out there more. S and C type individuals are going to be more reserved. So they're going to, and then we have the left side, which is task-oriented people. And then we have the right side, which is people-oriented people. Okay. So when we break it down into the 4 quadrants, we see that we have a D personality type. It's outgoing and yet it's task-oriented. So they are dominant. They are very direct, demanding, decisive, determined. They're doers. Who do you think would fall into this kind of category?
Like just in general, I would think like CEOs. That's what comes to mind.
CEOs. Who else do you think?
High pressure sales manager.
Yeah. Yeah. Sales people, CEOs, people that lead, right? Because we know that people that lead are usually pretty demanding and decisive and determined and they're doers. Yeah. And then I people. So now let's go over to the other side. So I personality types are outgoing and they're people oriented. They're inspiring, they're influencing, they're impressionable. They're impressionable. They're interactive. They're interested in other people and they're impressive. They're very showy. So who do you think would be in this category?
The influencers.
Influencers? Yeah, absolutely. Who else? Entertainers? Salespeople? Salespeople, because they influence others into doing things. Okay, so let's drop down to the lower half and we see C types. They're cautious, they're calculating, they're very competent. They know it all. They're conscientious, deeper thinkers, contemplative, and they're very careful. Who do you think, like maybe what kind of job types would you see being a C type?
Investors.
White collars.
What was that?
White collars.
White collars, yeah. White collars, okay.
Investors.
Investors, what'd you say, Mayela?
Oh, IT.
IT, CPAs,
Engineers.
maybe lawyers, right?
I'd say normal, like 9 to 5 people.
Potentially, yes. If they're detail oriented, yeah. Yeah, all kinds of jobs. CPAs, I mean, there's 9 to 5s in all those realms. Okay, so let's go over to the S types. They're supportive, steady, stable, super sweet. They like things to stay the same, not a lot of change, please. And they can be very shy. Who do we see that falls under this supportive role?
Supportive pastors.
Yeah.
Ministers. Yeah.
Ministers, okay. Caretakers,
Caretakers.
nurses, teachers, people that are supportive and want to help others. Okay, so let's break down each one of these and get really like down to the granular, because the entire point is for you to understand these personality types so well that when you see one, you're like, I know exactly what to say to this person, right? So the D personality is 10% of the population. So you're probably going to only run into this 10% of the time. They are, let's go over likes and dislikes. They like winning. They like planning. They like new ideas. Remember, they're task-oriented people. They're outgoing, but they're about the task. They like being the boss. They like results. They're fast-moving, and they love a challenge. Love a challenge. They dislike indecision, flip-flopping. They dislike lazy people, or what they would deem lazy people, right? They dislike details. They don't want to know the details. They don't need to read the contract with you. I'm going to put this into context for you real estate wise. Taking orders, they don't want to take orders from anyone. So it has to be their idea. And they don't want to move slow. They want to go super fast. They're ready to go 2 days ago. Clients like this, they need it to be their way. They want to win. They want it to be their way. They want it to be their idea. They think setting goals is challenging, and they love a challenge. So it's not challenging in the fact that they're like, oh, this is hard. They're like, setting a goal is what I love it. And their basic need is choices and control, and they need to feel competitive. So it's got to be their idea. It's got to be in their control, and they have to be winning. Their greatest fear is being taken advantage of. Super paranoid. They're the ones that are like, well, they're not getting over on me. So they can sometimes have a win-lose mentality, like they want to win and they want others to lose, which can be detrimental to a real estate transaction, because we really need people to be a win-win. And then their common phrase is just get it done. I don't care how it's done, just get it done. See, they hate the details. So they don't want to go over how they want you to do it. They just want you to come with a result. So what does that show up in a real estate transaction? High D people are usually high net worth people, or they have a high paying job. So they're going to be on the higher end of the scale of properties, right? When they're looking for properties, or they're going to be buying investment properties. They're going to want you to move fast. They're going to want you to answer them quickly. They're going to want you to have the answer. And if you don't have the answer, do not lie to them or tell them that you do. Just say, that's a really great question. I'm going to get back to you with the answer. And then get back to them. If they have to check in with you, and they'll be so fast, they'll be checking in with you. If they have to check in with you, it drops you down a notch. They want you to be very on top of it. So when you're looking into getting into the luxury realm, this is what you're going to deal with a lot. So you want to have processes in place ahead of time to make sure that you're actively checking in with your clients regularly. If they give you a task, you need to make sure that you complete that task in a timely manner, and then you get back to them in a timely manner. So there's no, hey, yeah. And if you're not going to complete it in a timely manner, you probably want to reach out and say, hey, I'm going to get this to you at this time. My favorite thing to do with these people is give them a very long time frame. So I say, I'm going to get this to you tomorrow about 5 p.m. And then I get it to them that night. Because I want to look like a rock star, right? I want to look like I'm winning. I want to look like I went above and beyond for them. Otherwise, nothing I do will ever be good enough. They always think that they are the smartest and that they know how to do it and that they know it's right. You'll get on the phone with them and they'll tell you how you're going to sell their house for them. They're buyers. They know everything that they want. It's good and it's bad. Sometimes they think they know better than you, even though you know the right thing. And then what's great about them is they already got pre-approved because they Googled what they needed to do before they wanted to buy a house. They know what they want. They are very decisive. So you're going to show them 1 to 3 homes and you're going to be in a contract. It's beautiful. You just have to be really on top of it. So it's good to have like a transaction coordinator in place to make sure that when you're in contract, that deadlines are being hit on time, communication is happening on time, right? And it's going to be really good for you to have some kind of plan in place for updating them on a regular basis. So how do I deal with my D clients? I actually have adapted all of my processes so that I can hit every single client. No matter what, every type of client is going to be happy with my service. So I tell my sellers every Monday and Friday, you're going to get an update from me. On Mondays, I'm going to update you on what happened over the weekend. On Friday, I'm going to update you on what happened over the week and if we have any open houses scheduled for you. So that way my D personalities will leave me alone because they know that I'm going to talk to them on Mondays and Fridays. I let them know ahead of time what we need to do in order to win in this market. So if you talk to an S type and you say, we're going to win, they're going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to do too much. I don't want to take advantage. But a D personality, yes, we're going to win. They love that. Okay, here's an anecdote. We had an agent in our office. His name's Rich Gibbons. He's on the ALC. He was selling a home to my daughter's jujitsu coach. Jujitsu is martial arts. It's mixed martial arts. Well, it's not. It's jujitsu. But he was a champion. He's a champion. We are in the middle of a market where all buyers are paying over asking price and they're removing contingencies and they're just basically giving the seller whatever they want. Rich talks to his client and says, this is what you got to do. You got to give the seller what they want. You got to give them whatever they want. You got to give them a free rent back. You got to give them above asking price. You can't get any credits. Probably not going to get any repairs done. And all his client heard was, you're going to lose. You have to lose in order for the seller to win. And so the client running around showing property, putting in lowball offers. You're never going to get into contract. You're going to waste your time with this client, right? They're looking at all these properties and putting in all these lowball offers and nothing's getting accepted, right? So we had a conversation about it and I said, you should go and tell him the seller is not your competition. All of the other buyers in the market are your competition. And I want to win and I want you to win. What house do you want? He said, I want that house. I said, here's how we're going to win. You're going to offer this. We're going to do it this. We're going to write it this way. And I can guarantee you that I'm going to win this house for you. He wrote that contract just the way that he told him to do it. They got into contract and Manny lives in that house right now. So the way that you talk to people is really important because if he would have continued down that path that he was on, he would have never gotten that guy a house. The guy would have gone with some other realtor or he would have just gotten out of the market. Nobody would have won. Now 3 people won or 4 people, both realtors and the seller and the buyer, everybody's happy. I thought that was really a great application of this. So positives about them. They're quick to respond, goal-oriented. We said that they're going to be on top of things, self-reliant, straightforward. You're not going to have to they're not going to beat around the bush with you. But they're reckless, they're rude, they're impatient, they're pushy, they dictate things to you. They're conceited, they're offensive, they're arrogant, they're abrasive, and they're ruthless. Now, these are all extreme dichotomies, and someone can fall anywhere along this. So are all D personalities ruthless? No, I'm a D personality. When you look at my disc profile at work, not at home, but at work, I'm a very high D, I personality. I'm not ruthless. I don't need to win at all costs. I really care about people. And so people are going to fall on this scale. It's just really good to know these things about the people that are around you. So how do you talk to them? Like I talked about in my anecdote, quickly get to the point, be very specific, and remember that they want to win. So talk to them about how they win. All right, so the I personality. This is 25 to 30% of the population. So this is a bigger chunk, right? Their likes is they want to be liked. They love expressing their ideas and themselves and their opinions. They love being part of a team or a group setting. They love social activities and they love recognition. If they could get a trophy for breathing, they would be like, hand it over. Thank you, thank you. You love me, you really love me, right? They dislike being ignored. They dislike being isolated. They don't like being ridiculed. You cannot give them constructive criticism. You have to sandwich. It's called a sandwich, and you have to tell them how great they are. And then there's this one thing that I thought would really help you get even better than you already are. And then you have to sandwich it with, you're amazing again. There's no there. It's not gonna happen. So you can't criticize these clients. So if they are like, oh my gosh, I love this mauve purple paint on the walls and this green carpet is just what you can't say, oh my God, what? You could never do that. It would crush them and they will just go work with somebody else. You have to be like, oh, I can see why you would love that. It's just a fantastic combination. They don't like repetitive tasks. They don't like repetitive tasks. So here's where D personalities and I personalities are both very outgoing. They're the smallest percentage of the population. They tend to be salespeople. They tend to be real estate agents. And I personalities, so D personalities don't really like building relationships. So it's hard for them to call through their sphere, right? But if they have a system like Command that says, do this, do this, do this, they're like, yeah, I can do that all day. I personalities are like, I don't want to do that all day. I don't want to do the repetitive thing all day. So we have to come up with different ways for you to lead generate that don't feel repetitive to you. And we can do that. So they don't like detailed work very much. They're not detail people. They're not really detail oriented. And long-term projects. They're like, let's get this going. Let's get it done fast. They're tasked. They like to do things the fun way. They like to do it the fun way. And they have short-term goals. They're not long-term thinkers. They're not thinking 10 years in advance. They're like, what do I want to do in the next 6 months? Their basic need is they need recognition and approval of others. They're people. They love people and they want people to love them. And their biggest fear is that someone doesn't love them. My best friend is a huge I personality. In fact, it's so funny because we always say that we're opposites because I'm a high D and I'm not really too concerned about making a ton of friends when we're hanging out, and she's friends with everybody. In fact, she's been my best friend since I was 15 years old, which I think I'm the oldest friend that she has. And yet other people come up to me and say, hi, I'm Teresa's best friend. And it's so funny to me because I'm like, oh, it's so good to meet you. Actually her best friend, but that's okay. But Teresa is best friends with everybody. And you can't get on her bad side. She wants everyone to love her. And that's what I love most about her. We're so very different in that. She doesn't like rejection, or high I's don't like rejection. So that's another reason that sales can be very difficult for that kind of personality, is that you're perfect at sales. You're one of the greatest. You're so influential. But if somebody says no to you, it breaks your heart. So you kind of have to quell that a little bit to be in sales because you're going to hear no a lot. So it's really good to learn how to ask questions to where it's never a no. And you can lead people down this trail of yes. A common phrase from them is, here's an idea. We should do this. So they're optimistic, persuasive, excited, communicative. They're going to tell you why they want to buy a house. They're going to tell you 3 times why they want to buy a house. They're going to tell you what they're looking for in a house. It will not be hard to get information out of these people. They're spontaneous, they're outgoing, they're talkative, they're very involved, very imaginative, and very warm and friendly. They're huggers, most of them. Their opportunities for growth is they're unrealistic. They can be a bit manipulative because they want everybody to like them. So they're not going to say anything that could potentially cause that problem. They're emotional, which is not always a bad thing. Gossipy, impulsive, unfocused, excitable, directionless, daydreaming, and purposeless. Now, again, these are huge dichotomies on either side. And when I look at my personality type, I'm like, ew, ruthless, that's rude. And then another big part of my personality is this. So when I look at those opportunities for growth, I'm like, oh man, these are areas that I can see where I need to improve if I want to have a really big business, right? If I want to have a really big business where everybody wants to do business with me, I can't be ruthless and I can't be purposeless. So I kind of like these personality tests, even if they give me negative information where I'm like, oh, that doesn't really feel that good to hear. It actually helps me grow because now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I just need to watch out for that, right? And then talk to them this way. This is going to be so much fun. I am so excited to be working with you. You don't have to talk like me, but still, this is going to be really fun. I'm excited to work with you. I'm excited to get started. Looking at houses is going to be a good time. Things like that, right? They want you to be upbeat. They do not like downers. And they want you to be positive and they want you to be enthusiastic. Okay. The S type. The S personality type is the other 30 to 35% of the population. S types, they like teamwork, harmony, predictability. They don't like a lot of changes very rapidly. If there are going to be changes, they need a lot of prep time for those changes. They like cooperation. They do not like conflict. No conflict here. And they will actually compromise to their detriment in order to avoid it. So this may look like in your clients that they really need a closing cost credit, but they're like willing to stand up and ask for it, right? Or they really want to buy a house, but they're afraid of the process. They're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of not getting their offer accepted. So sometimes you have to kind of support them and come along and say, hey, look, it's okay. Lots of buyers don't always get their offer accepted, but there's plenty of houses out there for us to look into. And I'm going to do my very best to make sure that we work as a team to get you to the closing table or to get your offer accepted. Working with a team with the seller. I had a seller that was like this. She wanted to price her home $50,000 under what it's worth. And then when the buyer put in no repair request, but they sent over the inspection, over, but all of it was really little stuff and the buyer didn't care. They didn't want anything. She still fixed the things for the buyer. See what I mean? They're like very supportive, very fair. Sometimes to their own detriment though, really. So is it fair? All right. So dislikes, insensitivity. If you are insensitive to the way that they feel or their situation, they're not going to want to work with you. Misunderstandings. So a lot of communication is important. They don't like misunderstandings. They don't want to deal with the conflict of it. They cannot be yelled at. You should never yell at a client. That should never happen. But, life happens. If you yell at this client, they're probably out the door. They don't like surprises. So it's almost better to prep them for things. This is something that could happen. We're going to get inspections on this property. Every property has problems. We're going to get a pest inspection. Every property needs pest work. Every property. There's not one property that's been a clean property. So it's going to be really normal when it comes back and there's problems on the inspection, okay? And then they're like, oh, okay, good. If you tell them about the bad things that could happen, they'll be so happy when they don't. A D doesn't want to hear it. A D personality is like, I don't want to hear about what bad things are going to happen. Don't talk about that. It's all going to be good, right? We're moving forward. We're winning. But an S type is like, I need to know what the possible bad problems could be or what I'm going to run into, because if I get surprised with something, I'm going to freak out and jump out of the buying process. And it's never, I'm telling you, it's usually always a good idea to buy a house, especially if they're renting, right? Okay. They don't like being pushed. So this is really important. We're salespeople. We don't get paid until they buy a house. But you can't want it more than them. This is any sale. This is any personality type. You cannot want the sale more than your client. Okay. You can't focus on your commission. It will come off. It'll be out there in everything you do. It's called projection. When someone meets you within 30 seconds, there's like gigabytes of information that are passed subconsciously through meeting somebody, just being in close proximity to them. They can feel it. You're desperate. So when you push people into it, when you say, it's a really good time to buy right now. It's a really good time to buy. You should buy now because interest rates are going to go up, and then that's going to push them away. You want to take on a more supportive approach with these people. Be more relaxed. Be the reliable person with the information that they need. Let them know, hey, I want to help you buy when it's the right time for you. And I'm here to support you through that entire process. And can I show you why I believe that it's a good time for you to buy based on what you've told me? If you don't have enough information to understand that it's a good time for them to buy, then stop and ask them questions to make sure that it is. Usually it is. They like the easy way. So they like it to be easy. They don't want a lot of pressure. They like things to be evenly paced. So some great things in the Ignite toolkit that can help an S person is the 30-day perfect escrow, or the buyer roadmap, or the Loanopoly graphic that tells them every step of the way of a loan. There's all kinds of guides and timelines that are available in there for sellers and buyers. And these people love timelines. They love timelines. They love plans. They love knowing what's going to happen next. So one thing that I've added to my business is every time I get off the phone with my client, I say, here's what's going to happen next. And I just tell them what's next. Even if it's nothing, even if it's like, all right, here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to call you on Friday and let you know what happened throughout the week. Right? They really like appreciation and security. They want to know that they're appreciated for whatever contribution they give. So they want to know that you appreciate their business. And they want security. They want to know everything's going to be okay. And that you've got them. You've got their back. Their common phrase is whatever you think is best. They don't want to rock the boat. They have wants and desires just like every other person in the world, but they don't want to rock the boat. So they're going to go with whatever you think is best. So it might be best if you want to form a deeper connection with them and really make sure that they know that you care about them, is to say, I know that you think that I'm the expert here and that I have the best recommendation, but I just want to make sure to check in with you and make sure that you feel really comfortable with whatever recommendation that I make. Okay. So I'm going to recommend this person, but I really want you to make sure that you feel comfortable with that. That's going to help them feel like, oh man, they really care about me. That's how you get referrals. That deeper connection with people where they're like, that person has my back. That person looked out for me. Even in a real estate transaction, they're going to go around to everyone they know. And anytime somebody says, I need a realtor, they're going to be like, you have to use this person. It's called building raving fans. And if you can build a database of raving fans, my database, that's why I'm referral based. I, in the beginning, was very task oriented and I didn't build deeper relationships with my clients. And I didn't always get referrals. And I learned very quickly, I have got to build some kind of deeper connection because I want raving fans. I want people that go out into the world, and when someone talks about real estate, they give them my name. And that's how you build a referral-based business. And that comes from excellent service. So opportunities for them some positives. They're very relaxed, super reliable. They will be on time. I love that. They're cooperative. They're stable. They're good listeners. They're single-minded, so they're not all over the place. They're steadfast, soft-hearted, and systematic. Their opportunities to grow is they're dependent on others. Sometimes they don't have a lot of initiative to go out there and get what they want. They can get taken advantage of. They're indecisive, uncommunicative. They might not communicate everything that they need. So you think everything is okay. Y'all, you could go on thinking everything is okay for quite some time, and then all of a sudden, bam, nothing was okay. And it's because they bubble up. They're inflexible. They're resistant to change, and they're slow. They can become resentful if they feel like they're not being taken care of, and they're a little bit gullible. I must have some S-type in my personality because I am super gullible, you guys. I'm very trusting, and you can get over on me, just in case you were wondering. Talk to them this way: kind, patient, predictable, be predictable, and be understanding of them. You're going to talk with people, and they're going to have these wild ideas about real estate and these wild opinions about the market, and they're going to say the housing market's going to crash. And the worst thing to do is argue with them. The best thing for you to do is say, oh, why do you think that? Become curious about why they think that, and then try to understand where they're coming from. My favorite line is, oh, I can totally understand why you think that. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that I understand why you could think that. All right, let's talk about our C personality types. C personality types are 20 to 25% of the population. Remember, they're task-oriented, reserved people. They like to be right. They like clear instructions. So they want step-by-step guidelines. So that's why in my Ignite toolkit, I've got step-by-step instructions of how do you work with a buyer? How do you work with a seller? How do you work with, and how do you complete an escrow? Because I know that some of you are going to have this C personality type and you're going to need that in your life. They like planning. They really love established procedures. They want to know what's expected of them. They really like finishing tasks. Check off the box. Feels so good. They don't like being criticized. They don't like mistakes. So if you make mistakes, they're going to harshly judge you. Does that mean you can never make a mistake? No, most adults in this world know that mistakes happen. But if you make too many mistakes and you're not checking for the details, they're going to move you down a little bit below them on that ladder, and then you're going to have a hard time influencing them. They dislike sudden changes. So again, reserved people do not like sudden changes or surprises. Outgoing people are more spontaneous, so they're okay with surprises. Reserved people do not like surprises. Sudden changes, sloppy work, unpreparedness, skipping tasks. Their task method is their way. They believe that they are the smartest person in the room. And sometimes they are, to be honest. Their goal setting is they find it challenging and they love it. Basic need is details. They need quality. They need to know value. Their greatest fear is any type of criticism. They don't want to hear criticism. A common phrase that you'll hear from them is, I need more information. I need to sleep on it. I need to think about it. I need to do my research. If you can do research for them, if you want to tell somebody why it's a good time to buy, then it would be really good if you actually did some research to find out other articles from other people that said it's a good time to buy and then slip those into them. Positives, they're orderly, logical, intense, very curious, teachable. They're cautious, they're correct, they love to be correct, they're questioning and conscientious, and they're very precise. So they're deeper thinkers, and they're very, very astute to detail. Opportunities, they are a bit compulsive, super critical. Remember, they don't like mistakes, and they don't like sloppy work, and they don't like unpreparedness. So if you make any mistakes, they're going to be like, oh, super critical. They're not very social. So they're wallflowers, and then they're critical of people. So they might not be having a lot of friends over to the house that you buy them. Just kidding. They're easily offended. They're kind of nosy, fearful, rigid, and worrisome and prickly. But remember, these are the huge dichotomies. So talk to them this way. Be accommodating to them. Listen to them. Accurate. Be accurate. Accountable. So show up on time. Say you're going to do what you're going to do. And analytical. So they're analytical. So do they want to know how many months of inventory is there on the market right now? I actually had a client. I was showing them property in the middle of nowhere. And they were in a lead that was given to me. I was on a team at the time, and they were given to me by the team leader there. And I talked to the wife only. Now, the wife was a high I. We would spend at least 20 minutes on the phone every time, because she wanted to tell me about the cute little ice cream parlor that she found in the town that she wants to buy a house in, and then tell me the whole story about how she met the owner and how they're so wonderful. And I loved it. Me and her connected, and she was great. But I never met her husband until I showed them a property for the second time. I think they were in contract on it. And he shows up. No, they weren't in contract yet. They were going to write an offer, and this was like the second showing. And he shows up, and one of the first things that comes out of his mouth is, after we've introduced ourselves and we're kind of walking around, he's like, so Amy, tell me, how many months of inventory do they have in this town? And I was like, that is some random statistic that only real estate agents really know. In fact, I have never in my entire career since or before heard someone ask me that question. In that very moment, I knew that he was a C type. Luckily for me, I had taken a DISC class and I already knew. And so for most of my career, I read the trends reports, and I can show you guys that report. The trends reports on the MLS. If you log into the MLS, there's a trends button. You just click it and it gives you a report. It gives you all these details about the market, and you can actually print it into a report that reads like a story. I read it every month. It's like clockwork. And luckily I had read it and I answered his question correctly. But the agent before that class, I never read that report. I don't know how many homes. Do you want to buy the house or not? That was me. So it's important to note that it's going to creep up on you. These different personality types are going to show up, and people don't always marry the exact same person that they are. So you might have to be working with two different kinds of personality types if it's a husband and wife or a partnership. So we talked about job profiles early on, and you guys were kind of on the money with that. So high Ds are CEOs, they're vice presidents, they're in management, they're in sales. I's are teachers, salespeople, trainers, office managers, influencers. Your S types are going to be teachers, nurses, programmers, technicians. And then the C types are accountants, engineers, analysts, nurses. Why do you think it would be important for you to know the job descriptions of people like that?
To know how to approach them and how to talk to them, how to adapt, and then be prepared to see what type of information they'll be needing to make, the transaction go smoother.
Yeah. So one of my favorite questions to ask someone when I first get to know them, a lead comes in. What do you do for a living? It's my number one indicator that's going to tell me where they probably might fall on my scale here. So I'll say, oh, what do you do for a living? And they're like, oh, I run my own business. Oh, okay, D personality. How are you doing? Or they might be an I, and I just haven't gotten that out of them yet. But at least I know that I need to move fast and I need to be outgoing, right? If they call me and tell me, oh, I'm a nurse, I'm going to say, oh, that's great. And I'm going to be slower, more supportive. I'm going to change my tone. So how do we use this in our business? So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly and then we'll take a break. On the phone, D's and I's are going to speak louder and faster. So when you get on the phone, if somebody's very loud and fast talking, they're probably from the D or the I, which is a dominant personality or an influential personality. If they're loud and they speak fast and they speak very short, so short sentences, hi, how can I help you? What do you need? That's a D personality. If they're an I, they're just saying, oh, hi, oh my gosh, so sorry, I'm at the gym right now and I need some other things to do. And how can I help you? What do you need? S's and C's tend to speak a lot softer and slower. So when you get on the phone with them, it's going to be soft and it's going to be slow. I have a financial advisor who is a C type and an S type. And every time I get on the phone with him, he talks to me like this. And his name is Dylan. And every conversation is complete agony for me because he talks like this. And I talk like this very fast. And I'm like, hey, Dylan, how you doing? What do you need from me? What can I get you? How do I help? Right? And he's like, well, Amy, how was your weekend? And I'm like, Dylan, I'm so far past that right now. But Dylan's a C type and he's very detailed. So he's the good person that I need to handle my finances, right? Okay. I's and S's tend to show more emotion. So an I personality and influencer and the S personality, they're on the people scale. They're on the people scale, right? So they're going to have a lot of emotion. They're going to talk about their emotions. Oh my gosh, it just kind of made me feel, or I feel like this. I feel like it's a really good time to buy a house right now. And then D's and C's, so on the task-oriented side of the spectrum, they're going to show no emotion. Right now is a good time to buy because I looked at my finances and I have the finances and I have the credit and I know that I found a property that matches what I want. And so it's important to know how they're going to talk to you. On the appointment. So say that you go to an appointment with someone and you're like, I don't know what this personality type is, but their homes tend to be very clean and decorated traditionally. Sorry, the D homes tend to be clean and decorated, traditional, neat, in order. Everything has a place. I homes tend to be very well decorated. Lots of trendy styles, tons of photos of people they love. S's homes tend to be comfortable and traditional. Lots of family photos. Remember, I's and S's are people oriented. D's and C's are task oriented. C's homes tend to be very neat, tidy, and well organized, and they don't usually use a lot of color. So when you go over to people's houses, you can look around and you're like, oh, this person's, whoever decorated this house is a little bit on the I side. They've got tapestries and they've got pictures and posters and lots of pillows. And then you go to a D's home and you're like, they have a couch. They have a couch and a TV on a crate. How do you ask for the business? D's will make a very fast decision and they like to negotiate and they need to feel like they've won. So when you're talking with them, you're going to talk to them about, this is how we win in this business together. I would like to do business with you. You can close them right away. You can close them right away. Hey, my name's Amy. I'm an expert in the real estate market. I'm looking how I can help you with your real estate needs today. You can do a script like that. You can use that with anybody. Don't be shy, but they will respond to that very quickly. I's can also be very quick decision makers and they have an overwhelming need to be liked and recognized. So focus on how it will help them. This house looks great. Oh my gosh, can you see yourself entertaining your friends in this house? Have you shown your friends the pictures? What do your family think about it? Usually they have someone else that's helping them make the decision. S's will need time to make a decision. They have to sleep on it. They're going to have to think about it. Do not put pressure on them. Help them focus on the security and the safety and what the benefits of buying a house are going to help their family. They want to trust who they're working with. So if they don't feel like they can trust you, it's going to be really hard to get them into contract. C personalities will need a lot of information to make a decision. They're going to need comparable sales. You're going to want to send comparable sales to them. So these are things that you put in place so that it doesn't matter who you're working with, you're going to hit with everybody. Send every buyer comparable sales on whatever home they want to put an offer in on. Don't skip that part. If you don't show them other homes that are sold in the market and what that home compares to those homes, that's a disservice to them. Do it for everyone. But the C types, they're going to love that you did that for them. The other ones might not worry about it too much, but C types will. You cannot rush a C type. They would rather make no decision than a rush decision. So if you try to rush them on a decision, they'll just say, no, I'm done. And they'll just shut it down. All right. So let's take a break so that you guys can integrate. But first, I'd like to ask, are there any questions? Anything you would like to touch on? Any ahas? Bring it. Nothing?
For me, I was just wondering if you can go back to that page, like David, like the profiles.
What was that?
Oh, I was wondering if you can go back to the job profiles just so I can save it. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Yeah,
There you
thank
go.
you.
No problem.
Amy, is this any of this slideshow that you show will be in?
Do you want me to put it? I can put it in the Ignite toolkit, you guys.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask the same thing. Can you do that for us?
Okay, fine. I'll put it in the Ignite. I'll put it in the Ignite toolkit.
You're the best.
Of course. Okay, I'll put it in the Night Toolkit into the scripts, right? Because this is more about like personality types and what you should say. So I'll put it in there for the scripts. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back at 2:20 and we're going to talk about the database a little bit more. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. What's up? Bring it back in. This is my summer playlist because I miss summer. I'm not, I love winter, but I'm cold all the time. Okay. I see people are back. All right, let's do this. Let me turn my tunes down. Okay, cool. All right, so we talked a lot about personality types. I hope that was really valuable. Did you guys think that that was something good to know?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So now we're going to talk about our database a little bit deeper of like the whys. I know that we touched on it and I showed you command and why it's beneficial to use it, but I want you to know why it's going to be beneficial for you to build your database. And also I keep saying like it's a math problem. And if you have this many people, you're going to get this much business. And you're probably like, well, how do you know that? So I thought we could kind of go through it. So we see this, you know this. This is what successful agents do every day. If you don't know this, take a screenshot, take a picture, and I want you to eliminate the right side. And I want you to only focus on growing your business right now. If you have an escrow, then there's probably some things that you need to do within your escrow. But right now, oh, we got some people in here that probably have some escrows. So you've got some escrow stuff that you need to do, but honestly, it's a lot less than you think. That's where coaching can come in and help you, is that I don't want you doing things that you don't necessarily need to do, especially when you need to go out and grow and get new business. That's the entire point, right? So we know what successful agents do every day. They lead generate for buyers and sellers. They make presentations. They preview real estate. Today, we're going to talk about what is a database, why should you use one, how do you develop your database. I might be going a little bit fast, but what I would like to do is show you some of the database. I want to show you what it looks like so that way you feel comfortable in there. So bigger picture and what I've been talking about for yesterday and today is your database will actually produce business for you. So if you got into this business and you were like, oh, I got my real estate license, everybody bring the business, hi. And now you're realizing, oh man, they don't just come to me. I want you to know that they don't just come to you right away. You've got to train your database how to teach your database how to treat you by prospecting them in the beginning and letting them know, I help with real estate needs. Here I am. A well-tended database produces actual leads. A powerful database managed by a really great schedule produces a very predictable flow of leads. And a predictable flow of leads is how you can expect a predictable paycheck. So when all of your family or friends or whoever around you is saying, you can't make steady money in real estate, that's a commission-only job. There's no way you're going to know how much you're going to make in the next year. The market just shifted. There's no way you could know how to make a bunch of money when a market shifts. I'm sure you've heard a lot of these things. I'm sure you're thinking them too. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are plenty of people that have been in business for 30 to 40 years. The market has shifted several times while they have been in business, and they're still earning their paycheck. So there's got to be a reason why. It's because they have a big database. It's because it's a well-tended database, and it's a database that produces more for them. It's a living record of your business relationship. So right now, if you have 1 to 2 leads that you're talking to, it's pretty easy to keep track. You might even be able to develop a deeper relationship with them. But when you've got 3,000 people in a database and you need to be able to build relationships with them, that takes a record of what you've talked about before. It doesn't feel spontaneous, so we think it's disingenuous, but it's actually not. Whose mom had a phone book? Whose mom had a book with everybody's birthdays, anniversaries, phone numbers, addresses? Does anybody's mom have that? And it was like this big planner, and she would like flip through it. Maybe I'm aging myself right now, but my mom had this big old binder, and it was like a day planner, and it had my social, it had all my stuff, all of her kids' stuff, her husband's stuff, like who, what hospital, medical numbers. And then It was a directory of literally every single person that we knew, every family member, distant, close, and it had their birthday, their anniversary, it had their kids' names. My mom had a database. Lots of moms had this. And it was how they kept their families together. It was how they got everybody to come over for your birthday. It was how they knew who to send Christmas cards to. It was how they knew when to call Aunt Susie and tell her happy anniversary. And if you had a mom that had a ton of support and friends and family was always coming to your house or family was coming to your parties, it's because she tended to her database. Try to get somebody to come to your kid's birthday party when you have never called them before. They're going to be like, no thanks. I'm not suffering through that just because I got an invite, right? So it's a living record of your business relationships, and it helps you nurture and manage these relationships. It improves your service and your strength. How wonderful would it be if you could tap back into the conversation that you had with them a month ago or even 3 months ago and say, you know, you told me that little Johnny was in baseball. How's that going? How'd the season turn out? You are going to sound like a very caring, conscientious person. They're not going to know that you put notes in a system and you've looked at those notes. They don't know. They just think that you're caring and conscientious. And I will argue this. Don't you want to be more caring and conscientious with everyone around you? I would love that. If I could have a Rolodex right in front of me that every time one of you called me, I knew something about your personal life and I could connect with you, I would love to do that. That's important to me. Why? Because I want you to know that I'm here for you and I care about you. And also, how many people do I need to do that for? So I can't just keep it all up in my head. I mean, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. And I only have so much space in here. So the database is what helps foster those connections. Okay, so there's 3 levels to a database. Right now, you're working on level 1. We're all trying to get your database to level 1 right now. And you'll know where you're at based on what you have. So an essential database is where you have 4 pieces. You've got their name. You've got 5 pieces of contact information. I want everybody to know the 5 pieces of contact information. In fact, I'm going to put them in the chat. 1, name. 2, phone number. 3, email. 4, address. 5, birthday. Write those down somewhere, put them wherever you need them to go. When you do prospecting, that's the information you're trying to collect. So if I'm making a phone call to Susie and all I have is Susie's name and phone number, I'm gonna be like, hey, Susie, how's life? How you been? How you doing? It's been a long time. Amy Tremaine here. I know it's been a long time since we talked, but COVID and we're all separated. And I just want to see how life is doing for you. Life is going good. My son, Steven. That's a flag. That's where you look. That's what you're looking for. And then you write in son named Steven. And keep listening. My son Steven has been in the hospital. Maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe it's like, oh gosh, that's terrible. Son Steven has been in the hospital. You write that down. That needs to go somewhere. And then you're going to ask, well, you're going to talk about other things. But that very important piece of information needs to be in your database. Why do you think it would be important for you to notate that her son, Steven, has been ill and in the hospital? What could you do with that?
Maybe send a get well card, or next time that you speak with them, say, hey, how's your son doing? I hope they recover or whatnot.
Yeah. I believe in the power of positive thinking, and I believe in the power of prayer. And I believe that it's very important for others to feel support, even from those that they might not know very well. And you see it all the time because you see people go on Facebook and they're like, I need prayers. Pray for me.
That might be the only support they get. You never know.
You never know.
And it makes such a huge impact.
Huge impact. So I would write that down. And I would say, oh gosh, well, I want to make sure that I can help support you in any way that I can. You know, if you're feeling it, like, I would love to send him a get well card. Is there an address that I can send that to get that to him? It's okay for you to ask that and to say that to them and tell them about your intentions to help support their family. I'm sure the kid would love to get a get well card. It will raise his spirits. No one's going to say no to that. So now you've got her address. Okay. That's a weird one because it was negative, right? But let's go into the positive. Say that you're talking with somebody and you have this great conversation with them and it's all good. And you're like, you know what? I'm updating my database right now. And I was just wondering, what's your birthday? And they're going to feel very flattered. And I can guarantee that any information that you ask them for after that, they're going to give to you because they probably think you're going to send them something on their birthday. So that's my favorite little tip. When I'm talking to people, I'm like, hey, I'm just updating my database and I don't have your birthday in here. What's your birthday? And they're like, oh my gosh. Oh, you don't have to send anything. My birthday's October 13th. And then you put that in there. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I also noticed I don't have your email. Okay, email. And I need your address too. They're probably thinking that you're going to email them something or send them something. And now you've got their name, their number, their birthday, their address, their email. And now you've got a very, very essential database. So this is your goal. We're going to put everybody into your database. Remember yesterday when I said, if you don't have your entire phone, I don't know where my phone went. If you don't have your entire phone in your command database, call me, call Vince, call the office. Let's get that going for you because this is how we're going to build a big business. And then your number one goal is when you call all these people in your database, you're attempting to get contact information. Now, there's all different ways to ask for it. What's your birthday? You know, I'd like to send you a birthday card. What about their email? Every month, I update my friends and my family and my clients on what's going on in their neighborhood with the real estate market. Is that something that you might be interested in receiving? It's not a big deal. Super easy for me. I just plug your email in and I'll send it to you. Most people are like, yeah, I'm not too mad at that. Oh, you know, I have a monthly newsletter that I send out to everybody, or quarterly newsletter. Command has a quarterly newsletter. I'll show it to you. I have a quarterly newsletter that I send out to my sphere, and would you like to receive that? I can email it to you. Now you got emails. Address. If they would like to receive information on monthly about their neighborhood, you're going to have to collect their address. And then you can say, oh, by the way, what's your birthday? Okay, so now you get it. Now you're like, okay, good. I got to get these 5 pieces of information. I'm set. I'm out. I'm doing it. So now you've called through, say that you got a little database. You've called through 100 people and you actually have all their information and you're all done. Now we're going to move on to level 2. Level 2 is obtaining permission. So I kind of pull number 5 back into essential. And I ask people, I'm like, hey, I update my friends and family and my clients every month on what's going on in the real estate market in their neighborhood. So it's not general. It's actually very specific to you and where you live. Would you be interested in receiving that? That's asking permission. Are you going to hear no sometimes? Probably. I mean, it happens. But most people are going to be like, yeah, sure. So now you've got permission to communicate with them. And now, as you're communicating with them, that's when you start collecting personal information. You can go from a 0 database to a 2 database just by making your phone calls. Because if you ask really great Ford questions, right? Does anybody remember the Ford model from yesterday? What was that?
It was family, occupation, was it something with relationship or something like that?
Recreation,
and then D, I don't remember.
Anybody remember D?
Was it desire?
Dream. Yeah. Dreams, desires. I love this. I actually love all that. Like the recreation, the relationships, I like it. It's all the same. It's all like asking questions to find out what's going on in their life, right? If you know that they have a relationship with someone that triangulate that. at all at every step of the way. How's it going? Are you still friends with Tammy? I love Tammy. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she's the reason I know you. Do you remember Tammy? And you can triangulate that, and now you're closer. Now you're even closer because now you have shared friends. There's a reason why Facebook puts people you may know. There's a reason that you're told who's friends with your friends. When somebody friend requests you, do you have a threshold of how many friends they have to have with you in common in order for you to accept? I do. Because I get friend requests from people with 0 friends of mine. And I'm like, well, how do you know me? And why do I need to see your stuff? And why do you need to see my stuff? And now I'm in the sales business, so I like that. But most people are like, if you don't have friends with my friends, we're not going to be friends. So if you can triangulate that in your conversations of like, yeah, me and you and Tony, or me and you and we used to work here, whatever you can do. And then put those in the notes. If you know that this person knows you because of this other person, put it in your notes. Make sure that everything is there and ready for you. Because why? Like I'm saying, you get up to 3,000 people, you're going to look at that name and you're going to be like, I do not remember this person. And I need to call them because Amy told me to have a big business and I got big goals and I don't know anything about this person, but I've called them 8 times. That's going to suck. And it's going to make you feel really uncomfortable. So it's so much better if you can put all the stuff in. So that way, when you get to number 3,000 out of 3,000, you're like, oh yeah, I remember. The more details, the better. Once you have collected personal information, you can start to segment people into groups based on lots of things. Okay, so I have a friend. Actually, in the Ignite Toolkit, there's a video of her doing a training at our office. She's not with our brokerage. She's with another brokerage, but she's a friend of mine and we used to coach together. And she's amazing at events and working her database. In fact, she makes a very good amount of money just working her people that she knows. And her husband happens to work at a brewery. He's a manager there. And they play music and they do acting stuff. And she's like, man, this real estate business. Oh, and they have a little girl and they don't like to really get babysitters. So she's like, man, this real estate business can really eat you alive. Like, I want to do something to where I can still act and my husband can still do brewery and we can still have friends and we can still do fun things and I can bring my daughter and what am I going to do? And we started in the business together. So I kind of watched her develop this. Well, when her husband plays a show, she calls through her database and says, hey, my husband's playing this show and I'm going to be there. And I was just going to invite you and see if you wanted to come out. And they're like, yes or no. And then if they say yes, and they show up, she tags them as somebody that likes to come to the shows. Okay. So then she has other events like concerts in the park. She would go to concert in the park and she would call them her database and she'd say, hey, we're going down to concert in the park. I'm going to have my daughter. So bring your kids. I'm going to bring some drinks. If you guys want to come and join us, we'll have a picnic table down there or a picnic blanket down there. Come on out. And then if they showed up, she would tag them for that. And she would tag them for whatever event they showed for. And then she started to segment people into groups. And she said, all of these people come to music events with me. So when I have a music event, I blast things out to them and say, hey, what's up? We have this event. And now she's hitting them what they like and she's connecting with them deeper. Acting, what have you. Very smart. You have a lot of people that like dogs. When you're making these phone calls and you have a bunch of people that have kids, maybe you get together a play date thing. Like, hey, let's go to the park. All of us go to the park. P.S. These things are free. So these are free ways for you to have client events and connect with your people. This is perfect for those SI types that are very people oriented, right? You know who you are. You got all these friends and you like to get together. It's perfect for that. Maybe you have a big group of friends. So I have an agent that's in coaching and he rides bicycles. Oh, no, he's a runner. He's a runner and he runs. and he has a running group. And I said, that running group better be in your database. And he does. He puts them in a database, and then he shares running stuff with them, like runs that are happening. He shares articles about running, has nothing to do with real estate, but every single time he sends them something, it's branded with his real estate. And every time he goes to an event, he makes sure to let them know that he's in real estate. And he gets business from that running group because he's offering them something of value that they believe in, right? So number 8 touches on that, and it says this is for purposeful and consistent communication. So these people are adding purposeful communication. They're not just blanketly inviting everybody out to something. They're purposefully calling and saying, I'm inviting you. I'm inviting you, 1. And then 2, it's something that the people are interested in. Yeah. An exceptional database. Okay, so now we've collected all the personal information. We've started making phone calls. We got some good stuff going here. I got some groups. I know these people are looking to buy. I know these people are looking to sell. I know these people really like to do client events, or they like to go out and do this, or what have you. These people are my family. These people are my clients right now, right? You've got them all segmented into little groups. Your database becomes extremely exceptional when you've got automatic custom communications built around triggers. What does that mean? That means that you have automatic emails, automatic texts, automatic tasks set for you to call them in a certain amount of time. And it's all built around a tag, like this person is in my bicycling group. So I've got a bicycle group. I don't, but let me just say, I got a bicycle group. We all go riding. I've added everybody into my database, and I put them on a smart plan, which is an automatic email, automatic text, automatic task. I'll show you one. And anytime that somebody gets added with the tag bike group, they're going to get that automatic system. So now I don't even have to really worry too much about that. If I put everybody into my database and I have their address, and every single one of them receives a monthly neighborhood nurture, meaning that every month they receive the details of what's going on in their neighborhood, that's automated custom communication. And it happens for every single person I put in my database. That's when you can start receiving referral business. It's an exceptional, it'll start giving you business back. It just takes a little bit of effort for you to build the essential and the effective. Take some time. So we've talked about this, but I just wanted to touch. Why would you use your database? It's going to avoid the today trap. A lot of agents have what we like to call 1-year careers, multiple years in a row, meaning that they don't have a database. They don't have a system. They don't know how they get their business. They just get their business. It just comes to them. I used to be an agent like this. It just, I make my calls and it comes to me. And then I realized somebody told me that's really silly and it's not scalable. And one day that's going to dry up because you have no system and you have no predictability. You have to put those people into some kind of system. So then I was like, all right, you're right. And I started putting my people into a system. And I started, anytime that I contacted them, even if it was sporadic, even if it wasn't every 3 months, I still notated it in my system. I had a client that I sold a home to. She was actually referred to me by somebody else I was showing property to. And we got into the first home we looked at and everything was gravy. It was one of the easiest transactions I've ever had. I barely knew her. We didn't build that big of a connection during that time because it was only 30 days. But I put her in my database as my past client. And then over the next 2 years, I started reaching out to her. I reached out to her about a month after she bought her home. And I was like, hey, how you doing? How's the house? No response. I reach out 6 months later. I don't even do it on time. Like, again, this is me being honest with you. I didn't even call her every 3 months like I'm technically supposed to by the book. 6 months later, I call her, no answer. 6 months later after that, I call her, no answer. I wait another year. I wait a year. And I call her, just checking in. How you doing? Want to see how the house is going. If you need anything in real estate, just let me know. No answer. So it had been 2 years, 2 to 3 years. I'm going to say 2.5 years from the moment that I sold her that home. And I'd been following up that entire time. No response, no answer. She calls me out of the blue and she says, Amy, I'm so sorry I never answer you. It's just life. And I just didn't have a need. But now I do. I'd like to sell my home and I'd like to move. And I was like, oh, sucky now. It all worked out. So you might follow up with somebody for a long time. I encourage you, leave a voicemail, leave a text message. Don't just make a call and bounce. Leave a voicemail, leave a text message, log it in your system, and keep going. I have one more story. I had an internet lead that I had been following up with and sending properties to in my system for a couple weeks. And then I called him one day and he must have been in a bad mood because he told me to go do bad things. Starts with the letter F. And I was like, ooh, he's spicy today. And then I said, but he didn't tell me don't ever call him again. He used other words, but he never said don't call. So I was like, all right, we're going to do fine. We're going to let him cool off for a little bit. So I kept sending him properties. It was automatic anyways. I set it and forget it. I just keep sending him properties and I just keep it up. I call him like 3 weeks later and I'm like, hey, I'm just checking in. You know, I know that we haven't connected yet. I've been sending you some properties. Is there any property that you'd like to look at? I made those phone calls on Thursdays, guys. If you're working any leads, call them on Thursday and say, hey, I'm setting up my schedule this weekend and I just want to make sure that I keep time for you. It says, I'm busy, people want to work with me, but I also care about you, right? And so then I said, I'm setting up my schedule this Saturday or this weekend, and I just want to make sure that there's no homes that you want to see. If you do, let's go take a look. And I expect a lot of no, you know. And he's like, actually, yes. And I'm like, what? He says, yes, I do. I want to go look at this house. Actually, me and my wife do. I'm like, okay, great. This is many years ago, and it was a $500,000 house. So I'm like, heck yeah, that's a lot of money. So I go out and show him the property, and I'm pretty upfront, and he was very direct anyways. He was a high D personality. So I said, hey, you know, what's going on here? Like, I feel like you told me that you didn't want to talk to me anymore, but then now, and he was like, oh, that was you? He didn't even remember, guys. So don't take it seriously. So he goes, oh, that was you? And I was like, yeah, that was me. He's like, okay, well, we were working with this other agent, and man, she never answered the phone for us. And we would ask her to see a property, and it would be like a day and a half before she would get back to us. And you sent us a property at 6 o'clock in the morning. You guys, I did not send that property at 6 o'clock in the morning. The automatic property alerts in my database sent that at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he said, and you're always following up with us. And we think that we would rather work with you. And I said, I'll take that all day long. Do you have a contract with her? He said, nope, no contract. I said, let's go to work. And I sold them a $550,000 house. That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, that was an average sales price was 300 grand. So that was a very good sale for me. And it was all because I was persistent and I didn't let a little no right then keep me from still offering assistance and being there and doing the thing. So it's the money is in the follow-up. That's what we all say in sales is the money is in the follow-up. It's not in the first time you call a lead. In fact, even a referral, even somebody that's given to me, like I call Mayella and Mayella says, hey, this person wants to get into real estate, or hey, this person wants to buy a house. When I call that person, it's still going to take me about 4 to 5 times of talking to them before they're really going to trust me and know me and like me and want to move forward. So the money doesn't happen on the first phone call you make. So you guys are going to go out in this world and you're going to make your phone calls. And day one, you're going to be like, well, I didn't get anything out of that. Amy's the liar. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, it's not the first phone call you make. It's the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, that really start to pay off for you. Anybody can give a call one time and ask for business. Anybody. It's the person that calls again and again and again. And the way that you can make it easier on yourself having those conversations, because you guys, I know that you're like, how am I going to call this person and ask them for business? And then also, how am I going to call them again and do it? That's what the forward script is for. That's why we talk about these connecting conversations. That's why we talk about personality types, is because you're going to have the opportunity to talk about your business just by having a conversation with them about their life. You will have that opportunity. It will come up. All right. So there's two types of businesses, today's business and tomorrow's business. Today's business right now, business today, escrows today will never trump to getting tomorrow's business. So again, that means you got to lead generate every day. I don't care if you have 5 escrows. I don't care. If you have 10 escrows, you should still be lead generating. In December of 2019, I had 7 escrows in place. I was going to have a very good Christmas because they were all set to close right before Christmas. 5 of them fell out. I lost $50,000 in commissions. And I wasn't tripping because I knew that I lead gen. I got this. It's going to come back to me. But that's what happens. So you can't think that your escrow is going to pay you until that check is in the bank, right? You can't. And you can't bank on it. And you can't bank on your client finding a home. So that's why you constantly have to be lead generating. If you've got 1 buyer right now, you need 3 more. Because you never know when that buyer is going to, something's going to happen. We had a buyer, we were in contract on them, and they just went out and bought a Corvette. Hope you can live in it. Hope you can live in that, because we told you not to do it and you did it anyways, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to start sharing command. And the reason I want to share it is I want to kind of show, oh, let me save this. Oh no, let me save this. Don't do it. Save. I was creating a smart plan. Okay, it's been saved. Okay, so here's command. I want to roll through this system with you guys every day, because I'm thinking by the time I get done, you'll be like, this is my system. So here's command, and you can see that I have some tasks here. It says call these people. These are the people I need to call and reach out to, right? How did I get those tasks? How did I get it set up to where it would tell me who to call and when to call them? Because if you look at my contacts, so if you click on here, you can see that I have contacts, tasks, smart plans. Smart plans, that's that systemized communication that you're going to have with your clients. There's all kinds of smart plans, so let's click on it. These are all the smart plans that I have. These are the ones that I've downloaded. I can edit them. I can add people to it. I can edit them. So if I hit edit, I can come in here and change everything about it. I can change the names. I can change all kinds of things. I won't get too deep into that. We'll get there. These smart plans were mostly created before me, or not by me, but they're created. I didn't have to edit them. And the reason that I didn't have to do that is because of up here in this library. This gives you access to every smart plan that Keller Williams has created and every smart plan that any other agent has created and published. When they publish you could create a smart plan that you keep all to yourself. You can do that too. But some people like to share their genius and they'll publish a smart plan. So like say that you're looking for a plan where you call everybody quarterly. You could type in quarterly. Oh, look, there's a quarterly call plan. You can view the steps. You can say, oh, it tells me to make a phone call, and then it waits 90 days, and then it reminds me again to make a phone call. If I added this smart plan to every single person in my database, that means that every single quarter, I'm going to reach out to them. I'll be honest, guys, if you did that alone, you would have a big business. You would make easily 100 grand. Easily. Now, say that you're like, well, I want to text them and call them. Well, now we've got another one. This is a quarterly text plan. You could add both of them to someone. So now you're calling them every quarter and you're texting them. I want to show you something. Me and Vince Catapano got together, you know, your check trainer, and we decided to put together some smart plans for everybody. If you want a smart plan that's going to automatically text, automatically email, and then automatically tell you when to call them, we've set some of these up for you already. So this is a 555 plan. And it just means that you're going to call them every quarter. You're going to text them every quarter. You're going to go on their social media every quarter. And there's probably an email in there too. So let's take a look at one of them. Say that here's your database touch. This is your database plan. So let's view the steps. First things first, if you set it up, if you went into all of your contacts, you say, add them to this 555. It is going to give you a task to call them. And the forward script is in there. Yay. And then it's going to wait 30 days and it's going to tell you to go on their social media account and like and comment and do something. So you called them and then 30 days later, you went on social media and you liked something or commented. And then 30 days later, it tells you to write them a text. And then it gives you options for that text. If you wanted to make this automated, all you would have to do is set up automatic text in Command. We can help you with that. It's a cost. It costs you money. It's very minimal. I think you pay like $4 a month and you can text everybody in your database. And then it restarts it. So every quarter, you're going to have reached out to them 3 times in 3 different ways that they don't even notice. So it's not overbearing. It's not as if you're calling them every week. And you can call them and say, hey, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. By the way, we're doing a turkey drive. My office is doing a turkey drive right now. And we're trying to hit as many turkeys that we can. I think our goal is 200. We're a little bit away. For $20, you can sponsor a turkey for a needy family. Are you able to help in that way? If not, no biggie. I don't want to put any pressure on you. It's just something I'm doing to give back to the community. Do you think that's an easy phone call to make? It's charity. Who doesn't want to give to a needy family? So then you can get them to give and you've made a phone call to them. Oh, hey, by the way, how's your family doing? How are you? Maybe they're one of the needy families that needs a turkey. And now you can say, well, be here on this date and this time, and you're getting a turkey dinner. Congratulations. So anyway, it can help. And then 30 days later, you're going to go on their social media and you just look for the most recent post and look at it and then comment something. Maybe you reach out to them on Facebook. Maybe you're not even friends with them and you need to send them a friend request. And you send them a friend request, right? It's just something on their social media. And then write them a thoughtful, brief text. So there's a script in there and it'll tell you what you can write, but you could probably come up with your own thing. What if you went on their social media 30 days ago and you saw a picture of them or you saw them working out? Maybe, everybody posts what they do when they work out. Everybody's like, I'm at the gym. It doesn't even count unless you post about it. So you see them at the gym and you text them and say, hey, I saw that you were working out hard. How's it going? Got any good tips for me? But that's that connection that you're building. That's that connection you're building. Oh man, I wish I had time to work out. Real estate is so busy. Things like that you can add in to show them. But it's building those personal relationships and then it just starts right up back over again. There's open house follow-up plan. If you're out doing open houses over the weekend and you don't have a plan to follow up with those leads, it's a waste of your time to even host the open house. Okay. If you've got internet leads that you're buying and you need to have a follow-up plan, we have an internet lead follow-up plan. If you have a buyer that you're working with and you would like to educate them on the real estate process, I've got a buyer education plan. So I would highly recommend that after this class, you implement what we're talking about and go into the Smart Plans library and type in 0 to capper. 0 to capper. And you will be able to download all of these smart plans. Once you download them into your smart plans, then you can add them. So let's say that I really want to add all of the, is this it? Open house, 555, referral. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Here we go. Here's my database touch plan. So say that I want to add everybody to this. I can click this little add. So here's my 0 to capper. Where'd it go? Here we go. Here we go. I can click this little add contact button. And then I can select all. And then I can add the smart plan. Remove contacts with errors. Then it's going to ask me, when do you want it to start? Do you want it to start today? Like everybody's going to be on the plan today. If you do that, then everybody's going to get added to the plan right away. And you're going to have a bunch of tasks, right? Because now you got to make phone calls. That's fine. Just get through your tasks. Now, if you would like it to start tomorrow, because you're like, I just want it to start tomorrow, you can start tomorrow. If you want to stagger it over the next 10 days, say that you've got 300 people that you need to call, and you have a plan that you're like, okay, I want to call 10 a day over the next 30 days, then you would say a certain amount per day. You would select this one and you would say, I want to call 10 people per day. So then every day, they're going to add 10 contacts to the smart plan. You're going to get 10 notifications that you need to call these people, and it's going to break it up for you. Would that be helpful? Right? Now you're automated. Now you've got a system to work. Now it takes all the guesswork out of it. Now you don't have to come in and say, oh God, who should I call today? Or who did I call last? That can also be hectic. So you can add this. Now, let's say that you don't want to do any of this and you're like, I just want to call. So if you've got 300 people and you're going to get through it in a certain amount of time, you're going to call a certain amount per day. In your database contacts section right here in contacts, you can actually see when the last time they were contacted, and you can sort by that. So this is the last time Elton was contacted. So that was today. Do I need to call him? Not necessarily, kind of depends. But this would be important for me to contact Brianna Waters. That's my old lender, right? It's been 2 years since I said anything to her. Probably a good idea for me to call her. So like if you're making calls today and you're like, oh, I totally forgot who I called yesterday, you can just hit last contacted and it will tell you. And then you can go from there. Okay, I've kept you guys 3 minutes over and I really respect your time, so I'm going to end it here. How do you guys feel about moving forward with some of these activities?
I just had a question. Do you guys have any smart plans for like an introduction? I know you went over like the toolkit and you had a letter there, but is there like a smart plan?
You can create a smart plan. So you could copy and paste that. You can copy and paste that letter, and then you can come in here and hit create and name it intro. I spelled it wrong, and hit apply. And then it's going to open up to the system to create a smart plan. And you can add things. You could add a task, a call, an email, a text, what have you. So you want to send an intro email. So you could click send email, and then you would just paste the information here, enter the subject, nice to meet you. And then you can hit save. And then you can add as all of your database to it. I just created a smart plan that texts every certain amount of days. And it's going to continue to do that for the next 6 years. Every certain amount of days, it's going to text certain people certain things, and it's going to continue that. That's where it gets real fun. You can create a smart plan that tells you call this day, 2 days later, they receive this email, or maybe it's they get this email, 2 days later, you call them about the email. 2 days later, they get this text. 2 days later, you call them about that text, So you could create a plan for you, and then you just follow that plan And if you follow the plan and you stay on top of it, it's more predictable business. All right. Any other questions?
So what's the best phone number for you to contact you if I have any question?
I will send that to you.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. I have you in my phone probably already.
Uh-huh.
So I will send it to you. Let's see here. Oh. Jazz.
Jesse Aptar.
Yeah, I got you right here. 335-3760.
That's correct. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. That's my contact card.
Thank you very much.
If anybody else needs it, here, I'll put my number in here. If you want my contact card, just shoot me a text at 916-868-8237. Shoot me a text there and I'll send you my contact card. But that's my phone number. You guys can reach me there anytime.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much for showing up for me and for yourselves. I hope you have a really great day. We'll be back here next Wednesday.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a good day.